this is wrong too.
Yeah. We're having some technical difficulties. Started my first video, and then Steve took a hard right off the highway to the port. To the port, I believe. Is that the port? And now he's blaming the iPhone maps, but I think he's just... I'm giving him a C- right now. He's
Oh, we're good.
Oh, we're good now? Yeah. After we did a UE on a highway, and okay, we're good now. So we're 3 hours out of Harrisburg. I'm just gonna start my video. We're 3 hours out of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Steve Palermo. Everybody knows Steve. There's Steve Palermo, and my wife Amy's in the back, and we got a little mascot here with us. Adeline is here, and all four of us are heading down the road to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. A lot on the go this week. This is 3 hours? Yeah, this is the last sale of the year for the most part for us. No, it is the last sale of the year. I'm not going to count the mixed sale later on. What's wrong, Addie? Addie's looking to be disruptive. Gets that from her mother, I think. 6 days? How long? When's the sale? The last day? Friday or Saturday? Friday. So Monday through Friday is the sale this week. Almost 900 yearlings selling. What was it? 865, then some the next day. Almost 900 yearlings selling. How many racehorses are they selling? They go to 1,900. There's no way they're selling 1,000 racehorses. Some of those are stud shares, weanlings, broodmares. Yeah. So just a mixed bag here in Harrisburg. A true mixed sale. A ton of horses being sold here over the next 6 days from today. A ton of horses being sold. So a lot of horses are on our list. I sent out a list of 5 horses. Now, here's the tricky thing. As of right now they're not all in our barn, but they're on their way, or we're negotiating to have them sent. 59 horses the stable has, yearlings right now. 59 horses right now are affiliated with the stable or in the stable. Yearlings. I'd like to get 6 in Harrisburg. I think after Harrisburg, all the sales are over. Some of the horses that were bought back, or some of the horses that couldn't make the sale because they were sick or got injured, a lot of those horses might find their way to the stable afterwards also throughout North America. We've already had a number from Ohio, Indiana, a bunch from Ontario, obviously, and I don't think we've any from Pennsylvania yet, but a number of horses have come in from all over North America. So I think if we buy 6 yearlings, that gets us to 65. We'll probably drift up somewhere closer to 70 when it's all said and done. And then that January sale, again this year, we're going to take a hard look at the stable throughout the Christmas season and then decide what we're doing in regards to if there are any horses that are going to need to be in that January sale. I can honestly say right now, I don't think that I have any so far that I've seen. Some of the ones I looked at them or broke them or looked at their breed and I'm like, I don't know. They seem fine. Seem good to me. Yeah, I'm talking to you. I know you're looking straight ahead because that's your job. You keep doing that. From time to time, I'll include you in the conversation.
Gotcha.
Then you just feel free just to run with it. Just to jump in and run with it. Also, those, as I said, I'm looking for 6 horses. I would love to buy one of the top 5 that I had in the sale. Now, there was a horse that I missed that would have made that top 5 list. Absolutely, most definitely. I've talked about that horse also to a large group of people. If we could buy one off that list, maybe that other horse, that would be fantastic. I had somebody call today and say, are you getting any more Ontario breds? Geez, we got 23 Ontario breds. Now, I will give you this. Only 3 are of the male persuasion. Only 3 trotting colts at the stable, which is for a trotting stable. I would say we're a trotting stable, but for a trotting stable, that does not seem like a lot. So there's a lot of cadavers and muscle masses in here that are interesting. Wait, now, what's your filly? She's a Royalty for Life filly. Now, we have 6 or 7 trotting fillies right now, but just to let you know, Steve, we'll always make room for one more. Always have room for one more.
That's good to know.
It's food for thought, you know what I mean? Anyway, so that's where we stand right now. I hope to buy 6. I would also, There's two muscle mastiffs that I find really interesting, and obviously Lawmaker, White Tiger. The filly last year wasn't of that caliber, but she didn't get a great start. She had OCD, Rose Run Versatile I'm talking about. She had OCDs out, got sick a couple of times in the spring. It really just didn't. She showed some spark, some pop, and I thought she was going to take a really good lifetime mark, but didn't quite get there. Still, I like that filly. Lawmaker's always going to be remembered, I think, by the stable. And White Tiger, who's coming around a little bit. We just talked to an extensive lunch at Stefano's, wonderful gourmet restaurant in, does anybody know that town? Warsaw. I shouldn't have said that, now people are going to stop. Stefano's got decent food, good pizza, good chicken wings. I might have went a little far over the edge with the gourmet. Wouldn't really say it's gourmet.
Yeah.
It's not really cleanly either.
Football pizza.
I give it like a 6 out of 10 for cleanliness. But the food, 8 out of 10? Pretty good. The washrooms are pretty musty too. Yeah, 6. I'll give it a solid 6 for cleanliness, but an 8 for food. If you're driving through Warsaw, any of you people that go to Harrisburg a lot, you've all driven through Warsaw if you follow your GPS. It's this little town that pops up. You go through an area where there's a big jail there, and then you go through this town, and if you look left at the stoplights, the one set of stoplights in this town, there's a Stefano's Pizzeria there. Not bad. Bring some baby wipes. So the 6 horses I'm talking about looking at are potentially, this is my cap, hopefully is 6. It doesn't include our race horses. Now, I'll be honest, there's a lot of our clients out there saying, and I don't blame you, geez, we've had some good luck. Lincoln James won the other night. We had some people saying, well, why are we selling him? You know why? Because he's too hard on himself. Lincoln James is an 8-year-old horse, and I'm certain of one thing. He'll try until he hurts himself. Just a fantastic horse to race and drive, and he's just we haven't made any money with him, and financially it hasn't been a great train ride with Lincoln James, but he's given us some fun. Had I think he's had 5 or 6 wins this year. Just been a nice horse, and he's a nice horse to drive. But he's the type of horse that will try, not protect himself as much as he should, and may injure himself. So he's an 8-year-old horse. He's had a few little hurdles and bumps in the road along the way, injury-wise. And I thought, if we sold Lincoln James for $25,000, $30,000, we could invest that into buying a 4-year-old, 3 or a 4-year-old. And there are a couple of those horses on our list. Now, to be clear, if you're out there and you own a piece of Lincoln James, and you're not obligated to, if we sell Lincoln James and buy another horse, you're not obligated to follow along, if you will. But you will have first offer to do so, because if we're selling your horse, we're going to give you an opportunity to get one back. So Lincoln James will be selling in Harrisburg. I guess he sells on Friday, right? He'll be selling on Friday at Harrisburg, coming off a win and a couple of really good miles since he come back to Ontario. And we'll be looking to fill that spot, maybe a couple more with some racehorses. I think Oso Pine showed he's found a little bit of a spark. I don't know. I wouldn't say he's back to his 8 cylinders. I thought he had it too, but he's definitely found some gas in his tank. Qualified well for Jason, and then I made the decision to move the horse over to Carmen Osiello, simply because I want to keep him on his toes. Right when he left Jason's had him his whole life up until when he went to Illinois with Angie and Rob. They did a great job with him. He popped a curb out there. They cryoed it. We brought him back here. We qualified him in 57. He looked great, and then raced decent his first start, fastest mile of his life. Now, to be fair to Jason and everybody else, it was the first time he's raced at Mohawk since his maiden victory, and he was following a lot of speed. But 55 and 3 his first start, and then last night at an added distance race, 1 mile and 3/8, Oso Pine weaved through, fantastically driven, weaved through, and ended up just getting picked off, though. Just not getting picked off, falling short. It's hard to fall short in 1 mile and 3/8 race. But he was charging at the wire and raced great. So it looks like Carmen has him on the right trajectory. Our other boy, Brave World, racing tonight at Mohawk in, I guess, the backup class. He's doing well. I'm allowed to get sidetracked, honey. Amy hates when I venture off on my own in these videos. She hates it. But that's how I am. And White Tiger, I was so pleased with the way he raced the other day. I'm expecting him. I want to see him use that race as a springboard forward. He's going to be racing Friday in Pennsylvania. I spoke to Mike Wilder after. He got along well with him in the qualifier in the race. A little tricky to drive. He's good right now, but you got to know his quirks, and Mike has a pretty good handle on that. He said he'd drive him on Friday, so that's good. We got White Tiger coming back around. Stonebridge Simba was second his last start. He's racing Tuesday in an overnight with the outside in the Poconos. Cruising with Style. Hasn't been awesome his last two, but just needs to rebound. I'm sure Andrew will get him back on track. And then West 52nd was third, second, and fifth in that series. I just took for granted he'd make the final, and he didn't. He was also eligible one. So for those of you wondering what's next for him, he's coming back home to Ontario. Lots of places to race him. Fitz-and-Onward is a 3 in Ontario, and then there should be lots of racing for him. Plus, he gets around a half good, so I'm certainly not concerned with West 52nd's future at the stable. Speaking of horses that have been racing, we'll jump right into how the horses raced this week. I mentioned Lincoln James. He went out a winner from the stable.ca. Just an abysmal night. I didn't know how he'd be. The track was hard as a rock, but it had rained all day, so there's water all over it, and it was so windy. A mile and 57 in that class was, well, it just goes to show how bad the track was. This is a horse that paced 51 2 starts before that, 153 the week before. Lincoln James is going out a winner from the stable. He was a winner at 157 in a bad night the other night. What about our boy Yes? Yes upset Swandre the Giant 2 weeks ago in 153. Was second as the favorite last week, 153 and 3, and then last night finished fourth. But as I was saying to Steve, finished fourth the 3 horses that participated in the Breeders' Crown. The winner was the horse that won the Breeders' Crown elimination in 151 at a piece, and that was Don't Let Him. That's his name, right? Don't Get Him, Don't Let Him, Don't Let Him. And then the horse that was second was Chin Chin Hall, fantastic horse. He was second in the Breeders' Crown the other night. Was he not? I believe he was. Definitely second in the elimination. No, he wasn't second in the final, but he was second in the elimination to Don't Let Him. He trotted, he was second. The horse that was third, Pilot Discretion, was picked for second or third in the Breeders' Crown the other night. I believe he ended up fourth, but don't quote me on that. So, Yes finished a good fourth, again, ahead of Swandre the Giant and the Good Swan horse from Indiana. Finished ahead of all those horses, finished fourth, beat 8 or 9 lengths to Don't Let Him, who was the race winner in 151 and 2 or 3. Second was Chin Chin Hall. Third was Pilot Discretion, and our boy Yes was fourth. His next start will most definitely be at the Matron next week. Now, here's a tricky thing. The Matron, and Steve and I talked about this, it appears that, I think we're right? It looks like they give you back your nomination and sustaining fees if you enter for the race and don't get in. They only take the top 8 money earners. I'm sure Yes will probably get in, I think. Matron, he's got like 150,000 made this year, but we're going to enter Stonebridge Simba and White Tiger also. I think sounds silly, but at the same time, 1, I think we get our 1850 back, and 2, if there's consolation, I'd be okay racing those horses against them. Stonebridge Simba's racing a little bit better than White Tiger, but White Tiger raced better for me than I've seen him in his entire 3-year-old year the other day. Now, sure, he won at 54 in the mud and looked great for Andrew winning the Pennsylvania Sires way back. It was June, wasn't it? Way back in June, and then had an abysmal summer. He had that win in 156 against the Lame Ducks, and not Lame Ducks, but they were just beat up horses in the bottom or lower class in the Meadows. That's right, I almost said the word bottomer. Did you hear that? You missed that. I thought you'd jump all over me. In the lower class at the Meadows, and then but just kind of, he was a winner, but we only raced for 1/8 of a mile. The other day, though, he left, sat, finished up great, and if I get him out in the last turn, I can assure you he is going to the winner's circle. So impressed with him. That's quite a long way to the Matron. There's a wide berth between his last start and Matron Company. Having said that, I believe if he doesn't get in, we get our money back, which is fine. And if he gets in, hopefully there's a consolation. They go for 40,000, 50,000, who knows? So that's our plan with those 2 horses. Oh So Pine, as I said a couple of minutes ago, Patty Bear. Oh So Pine raced tremendous. At a distance, who would have thought? At a distance, weaved through late, shot through, just missed at the wire. At a mile and 3/8, and he handled it rather well. So we have Yes, we have Lincoln James, we have Oh So Pine, totally tacked her, made a couple of breaks the other night, but I think that was a lot to ask. Jason had trained him hard 2 days before the race. Then he won in 2-2. Then he come back 5 days later. I just think for a big, people have to understand this is a big, gangly baby. He's 3. And I know everybody thinks at 3 they should race great. Some horses just aren't fully matured at 3. And Totally Tactor is not physically mature. I can guarantee you that. So I think it was just too much work. Steve, I don't want to tell you anything. We're in the fast lane. No one's in front of us. The Second Amendment is alive and well still in the United States of America. And I believe this gentleman, if he had a gun, he might have shot you. I'm going to duck.
Now I'm in a blind switch.
I'm going to duck. No fingers, no guns. We're good. But now we're going again. We're all right. Just giving you a little heads up. Don't want to see you get shot. No need. Just take care of you. So Totally Tactor, he was a winner very impressively 2 starts ago, and then as equally unimpressive his last start. Addy Bear, were you unhappy with Totally Tactor also? Well, you have to understand he's just not fully mature yet. She needs to nap. And then White Tiger, I was very impressed. See, he get out of the way for you.
That's the guy just let go.
I know.
Actually, a woman.
Oh, well, let's not play gender games now. White Tiger raced great the other day, finished 3rd. Then we looked at the babies. Wiggle Delight was, you know what, I'll be completely honest with everybody. There's a good chance that I took Wiggle Delight's last 2 races out of her in her second last start, where I won by 6 lengths in 53. I went to bed after the final when she flattened and finished 4th, and Miss Brampton Beast beat her for 3rd. I went to bed thinking that, maybe that's on me. That was the first time I'd driven Wiggle Delight all year. I cut her loose because I thought she was being a little complacent. She was cheating a little bit on us, and I wound her up, and she won very convincingly, and then come back with a bit of a flat mile her next week, and I can't help but think that maybe that's on me. So for Paul, I'm sorry. For the filly, I'm sure she'll bounce back good next year. This is a very well-bred filly that now has close to 40,000 made, I believe. Anna Marco 153 and 2 is a 2-year-old. There could be worse things than that going into your 3-year-old year. Miss Brampton Beast finished off, as I said, beat me for 3rd. Finished off her year. Now, I wouldn't say she's exhausted because I don't think she puts forth 100% every race. But she did finish 3rd. She did have a decent year. She did take a mark at 55. So that's a decent year for her. Caviar's Triumph was a winner the other night in the claimer. We talked about him. He's going to stay put. I think Steve asked about taking him to Mohawk. Valid question. I just want to put him in where he can win. So I've given Kevin clear instructions. You do whatever you got to do. Just put him in where he's most likely to win. So if that's back in Flamborough next week, or if that's back at Mohawk, I'll leave that up to Kevin. 5-run Homer. I think he got a little bit of the life. Did you watch his race? Probably not, eh? He was in an earlier race. You just don't watch any races except for your own horses, right? A bit of a selfish stable owner, right? Yeah. 5-run Homer ended up, he was up a class, but he was picked to win. I think he went away the favorite. And then Reg Gassi moved to the front and just let this horse rock. And I think he just sucked the life out of a 5-run Homer. He was a mediocre 5th or 6th. But we'll put him back in to go next week and see how he does. We still have a ton of options with this horse. And most of all, we could put him in the 15 claimer for now as a 15 in London, where I can assure you he could win in a jog cart. So, lots of spots for 5-run Homer. Stonebridge Simba, as I said, has been racing good. I think his next entry after Tuesday will be the Matron. We talked about Cruising with Style, looking for a bounce back, and West 52nd on his way back home this coming week. So those are the horses that are racing. We talked about the sale, how this is the biggest, I guess for a lot of people. Would you say, is this your biggest sale of the year, or Lexington? Which do you get more interested about? It is different. It's quite different.
To buy here.
To buy here?
Yeah.
Now, see, I think that there's more horses fall through the cracks because of all the big money in Lexington. But there's always horses you can buy affordably here. To be honest, and this is why Amy was probably shaking her head earlier, it will be hard to only buy 6 because there's so many nice horses. And then, you get so excited because you bought one for 18 that you thought was worth 30, and then lo and behold, an hour later, here's another one that was on your list that's potentially falling through the cracks. What are you doing? Are we making another audible here? No, we're going. You sure?
Yep.
Want to double check?
I did.
Triple check? Okay. I'm going to take another port side turn here in a minute. So I think you could be right. Now, we did buy a lot of horses in Lexington. I don't think we spent a ton of money for the horses we bought. So I think both sales are very different. Very, very different. but for what I need them to be, they're very similar in the fact that we're looking for, the ones that don't bring what they should. And I think anytime I think when you have an 800 horse sale, I don't care if you have it in Somalia or you have it in Bel Air or Las Vegas or where you have it, there's going to be horses fall through the cracks inevitably. So that's what we're going to be doing. We come here today. We're going to go and do a bunch of videos tomorrow. I've sent, as I said at the start, I've sent videos out and emails out regarding our top 5, our 25 horses. Also, now there's probably at least 40 horses that I didn't put on that 25 list. That 25 are horses that I was really interested in, that I thought would be a value purchase. I thought would be undervalued, underpriced, and undersold. Those are the horses that are on that 25 list. The horses on the top 5 list could actually go for a lot higher. We might not be able to afford any of those 5, but I looked at all the horses that I thought might be worth close to 6 figures, or maybe a little more than low 6 figures, and said, if I bought this horse for $70,000, would this be a good purchase? Those are the 5 that made my list. Anybody can go and tell you who the 5 most expensive horses are likely to be. I'm not after that. I'm after 5 horses that could be 6 figures that we might get for less. That's who I'm after, and that's who's on this list. Also this week, we started taking some of the babies over to fluoroscope them. As I said, it is vitally important that if there are any issues with any of the babies, we need to weed them out and recognize them. Now, the easiest answer would be, oh, well, just fluoroscope them all. I guess you could. But here's the thing. There's lots of horses that might have OCDs in their hocks, ankles, knees, but they may not need to be operated on. They may not need to come out. I'm looking for horses that are trotting or pacing over on one shaft, on one line, seem like they're not as comfortable as I would expect or hope them to be. Those are the horses we're taking over to fluoroscope. We had 3 the other day. Miss Meringue went over. She passed the fluoroscope. There was an old chip that was healed back onto the coffin bone, which obviously when I heard that, I was a little startled. And the vet said, don't worry about it. It looks like she was probably just being rambunctious in the field as a baby and injured herself, and it looks like it's healed back on. It's worth noting, but 1, you'd never have to operate on it. 2, she thinks that it's already healed up. Now, when a piece comes off like that, it doesn't heal back on with calcium, so to speak. It heals back together with what they call fibrous tissue. And you can't see that in the x-ray. So she says it looks like it's healed on there. The fact that she's sound and comfortable would lead me to believe that also, which she is. Looks good on the track. Made a few little shoeing changes with her. I went with her a couple of days this week. I was rather impressed with her. So Miss Meringue cleared. The other 2, let's roll on. I really thought there was a chance they might find something. I think that this is just a big growthy colt that's learning his way and going through growth spurts along the way. So let's roll on. Although I thought we might find something, there was nothing to talk about. So he got a pass with flying colors, and Carry a Big Stick had an old OCD at the back of one ankle, nowhere near the joint surface, as the vet said, nothing to worry about there. So all 3 horses passed. No need for any additional veterinarian assistance with these 3 horses. Now, we have 8 horses going over the first of the week. On Tuesday, we'll be sending over Braemar. Really just want to make sure everything's right with this colt. I think we made a good purchase with this horse at $30,000. This is the Vegas Vacation, brother. Oh man, he looks some kind of good. I just want to make sure we're not missing anything, because this colt here, his breeding would make you believe he's a very good horse. His attitude in the barn. Now, he's a little tricky. He can be bossy. He almost killed the blacksmith twice. Literally once. So, he needs... But I'll tell you, I saw in the barn, he's actually beside a filly in the barn. Never acts up. They say he's behaved in the barn. And on the track now, he's starting to like his work. His ears come up. He's starting to play with the other horses on the track. And really getting a feel for his work. And looks great. So this is really just precautionary. I don't really see any issues or potential issues with Braemar, but want to make sure we nip this one in the bud. I really like Braemar so far from what I've seen. Sweet Ambitions, she's got a little bit of an attitude, this filly. She's caused some problems over the last few weeks, but when she's trotting on the track, she looks great. But I'm wondering if that acting up isn't caused by something. Nothing I can see. I don't think there's anything there, but again, want to make sure, although she wasn't a very expensive day 1 purchase at Lexington, she is a Father Patrick. She does have some family behind her. This is the filly that we bought. The update on the sale that people missed was her sister won both of her first lifetime starts. The last one was, oh no, she qualified twice. Her last qualifier was in 57, the day before Sweet Ambition sold. So this is a filly we paid nothing for. We paid $15,000 for on day one, which is a travesty. But I was happy, and this is what I talked about going into this sale. I'd mentioned a couple other horses that fit into this category, but if you're going to sell day 3 pedigrees on day 1, you're going to get penalized, and I believe that's what happened with Sweet Ambitions, and it may happen again in Harrisburg. A couple of horses I have said, one to you particular, the EL Titan Colt on day 1. That could happen again. Lightning could strike twice. We'll see. We'll see about that. The Fat Cobra's going to head over. Now, nothing really major with the Cobra. He is narrow up front. He looks like he might brush a knee when he gets older, but as he grows up and stretches out, that may not be the case. It's easier for me to tell you with a trotter, if they're towed out a little bit and they look like they're trotting clean, you'd say, oh, that horse is definitely going to get up over its knees, or it widens out and it's not going to touch his knees. A little more dicier with pacers. So I think with the Fat Cobra, just want to make sure we start with a clean slate with this guy, that everything is addressed. But obviously the breeding on this horse out of a mare that made $750,000, Wina 150, had a very good family, and he is a first crop. Who's he by, the Fat Cobra? He's not by Betting Line, he's by... Anybody jump in? Bill, jump in. Who's he? Oh, the Always Be Mickey. He's an Always Be Mickey. So Admirable is going to head over. This is a filly. Man, oh man, when she's pacing, she can march. When she's pacing, she can absolutely fly, but she's got quite the attitude. I've never seen a horse kick as much and with as much purpose as this filly in quite a while. When she kicks, she hasn't kicked in like a week, but when she was being bad and she was kicking, is this a Blair Witch Project? When she was kicking, she meant it. And what are we doing here? Why is it rattling so much? Oh, it's because you're, I think you got to step on the gas going up the hill. Feel that choppiness? I'm not a mechanic or anything, but it's not gone away. So anyway, so Admirable. I just, again, want to make sure that there's no issues with this filly moving forward. I want to make sure we start with a clean slate with any of them. If there's any issues or potential issues, we need to know them now so that we can nip them in the bud. Again, nobody on this list on Tuesday, Braemar, Sweet Ambitions, Fat Cobra, or So Admirable, I have any real concerns with. Just want to make sure. And then Wednesday we have, I believe, Barbie's Crown is still on. That's our filly. Barbie's Crown is still on the list. Oh, Steve, Barbie's Crown's going to be fluoroscoped on Wednesday. Okay, just letting you know. Rose Run, Why Not? Same reason as Miss Meringue. Big, strong filly. Just want to make sure everything's okay. And then Walk on the Moon, again, a horse after his brother was in the Breeders' Crown and raced in the Wellwood. I wanted to make sure that he is okay. I keep thinking this is going to fall off. And then I'm Hill on Wheels, a horse that Amy takes care of. I'm Hill on Wheels. Just want to get this guy over, make sure everything's all right with him. I was really, really happy with him the other day training. Oh, it's going to fall off. Just want to make sure everything is okay with him. So that's everything. I believe we talked about the sale, the upcoming sale, what we're trying to do with the sale. Same thing we always do. How the horses have raced this week. Again, 3 horses that were at have already been fluoroscoped and cleared. Miss Meringue, Let's Roll On, and Carry a Big Stick. And then we have 8 horses going at the first of the week. Braemar, Sweet Ambitions, Fat Cobra, So Admirable, Barbie's Crown, Rose Run, Why Not, Walk on the Moon, and I'm Hill on Wheels. And I don't suspect there'll be any issues, but we will see. So, back in a minute, we're going to talk about all the stables, all the yearlings, all the 2-year-olds, talk about everything. Back in just a minute.